quiet seaside town, an evil laid to rest centuries ago, has risen. An abandoned fortress deep in the swamp holds a secret that could save the village or destroy it. Now, a band of adventurers sets out to dig up the wounds of the past and bring the light of day to the roots of ruin. This is Tabletop Gold.
Hello and welcome to Tabletop Gold, episode 17.
Woo!
We got a fan of prime numbers over here. We're going to meet him in just a second, but right now we're going to meet me, because I'm saying my name now. I'm Lars Casteen. Hi, welcome to the show. I'm so glad to, we're going to get to all of these people. I'm glad that you're here listening to us. We are an actual play podcast playing the game Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which is a game that I love to play. Now let's meet our friends. Here they are. To my immediate upper left is Matt Humphreys.
Hey, guys.
Zoe Chernicoff is here.
Hello.
David Chernicoff is also here.
Good evening.
Getting right up on that microphone. I love to hear that. And here is Robin Lange.
Hi.
Hi. We today are playing for the first time in a week, and it feels as though we haven't played this game in roughly 5 years, is how it feels to me right now. We set up a weekly playtime, we get into it, we have a regular engagement, as it was probably the best way to put it, and yet it feels as though I have never played this game with you people before in my life. Is that fair to say?
I haven't played in like a week and a half because when you all played last week, I was in bed with a migraine. So you weren't even like playing our game. We were just
having fun.
Yeah, while I was dying. So yeah, jealous.
Robin, I'm sorry that you had that migraine. That sounds very unpleasant. I have never had a migraine. I don't have any sense of what it's like. Does anybody else here have any migraine experiences?
Yeah, they're bummers.
Yep.
They are.
Oh, so they are bad. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
I can
they're pretty
confirm.
bad. And mine aren't even that bad, in all honesty. I am a migraineur, is what we are called, apparently, according to my neurologist.
I'm sorry.
What?
A migraineur?
Migraineur is the term that my neurologist uses. So
As
that's
in like flaneur, like you sort of casually.
Walk about on a dérivé, trying to make the city strange again.
What are the last 3 letters
That's
in that word?
a great question that I don't have an answer
Do
to.
they have any of those custom French squigglies? They sound like they got some squigglies.
Maybe an umlaut?
Sure.
God, I hope there's an umlaut.
I see you have some migraine. That's what the.
Oh, you're looking it up, Lars?
Yeah, it's spelled migraine EUR,
Oh, that's less exciting.
which is like the word poser, which
Posier.
just sounds like poser, but then you spell it posier.
Well, this is the same as flaneur, which is like people who like to walk around. This is like a whole French thing.
Ah.
Dérivé.
Yes, well, basically mine just I'm very sensitive. When they come along, I get very sensitive to light and sound and have to take meds and go hide in a dark, quiet room. I know some people who get them so bad that you get nauseous, you vomit. They can get really, really terrible. They can last for days at a time. Thankfully, mine never get quite that bad. But even the ones that I have are pretty miserable. So I don't wish them on anyone.
I don't wish them on anybody or on you. It seems like a terrible experience.
Yeah, finding a neurologist, like finding a doctor who takes it seriously and doesn't just say, oh, it's just a headache. I finally found someone who said, yeah, we can talk about lifestyle changes and those will help, but you have an actual medical condition that also requires medical treatment in addition to lifestyle treatment.
Right.
How satisfying is that? Maybe this is a unreasonable question to ask, but how satisfying is it when you go to a doctor and they tell you something other than make lifestyle choices?
This is
Deeply
exactly
satisfying.
what I was about to say, which is like, Robin, not to in any way like the satisfaction you got for this with regard to migraine, but you could have said any medical condition in that sentence, and I would have felt the same way.
Yeah.
Which again, probably most of the things that are wrong with me are because of lifestyle problems. I am aware I sleep half the amount I'm supposed to. I am aware that I eat like a 4-year-old. Like, I get it. I'm sure those things aren't doing me any favors. But I feel like every medical condition that either Zoe or I in our adult lives has come up with and approached a doctor with, everywhere on the spectrum, from like, impact injury to like mental health condition, the basic reaction has been like, I assume that because you're not as interesting as the edge cases I was trained in medical school, there's not actually anything wrong with you. And by the way, I have an EQ of 0.14.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, David is speaking to a shared experience we have had of like, doctors, but I just assume there's a like deep underlying medical condition that's not being like, we're just not getting there yet because I haven't managed to like anytime something comes up. And so it's so validating when you start feeling like you're making progress through, it's just my hypochondria speaking, right? But it's like,
But you also had the experience you had when you were undiagnosed with celiac disease,
right?
Where
that's
you
like
had
totally the base.
Where you had blood levels where everyone who looked at them was like, "Huh, it's weird that you're not dead," but like you couldn't actually get anyone's attention enough to tell you what was wrong.
You need to start drinking more blood.
Literally, during that phase, had someone be like, "Are you bleeding out of your butt?" And I was like, I'm not. I would have mentioned. No. I would have. Right. I would have led with that.
As though on doctor's appointment 5 and like minute 12 of the interaction, it wouldn't have come up.
That's something that not everyone does.
Right. Isn't that just life?
Anyway, doctors are great or whatever, but they are like, it's like the default setting on a physician is dismissive, which is bizarre given their line of work.
Doctors are fine. Doctors are great when they don't treat patients like they're jackasses. And when doctors treat patients like, we actually know our bodies and have come to you because we would like support other than the advice we can find on the internet.
Yeah.
The doctor that I went to this year, I changed to a new primary care physician because the last people that I dealt with have since gotten out of the medical game, like one after another. I'm getting to people right as they are
I've
about
had this
to shut
happen
the door
a bunch.
on their
Don't
career.
feel like you're alone. I feel like I've had doctors like break up with me and close their practices, like, I don't know, 6 times as an adult.
Right.
So many times.
And Lars, I will emphasize for you the same as with Zoe. It's not that you're driving them out of the profession for some reason.
Yes, it is.
At this doctor's office, which I went to for the first time a few weeks ago, the first thing I saw when I got into his examination room was a comic strip showing 2 lines of people, one with the word lifestyle change above a window and the other with the word pills and surgery above a window. And it's just a line of 25 people lining up for pills and surgery and nobody lining up for lifestyle changes. So it's like, I was told immediately that this highly recommended doctor
looks down upon his patients.
Yeah, thought I was a total asshole from the moment I walked in.
But how long is the pills and surgery line? Just real quick, though, for my reference.
It's really long. You're going to have to wait a really long time to get those pills and surgery that everybody wants. Like, way to tell me that that's not something I should be interested in. Everybody else thinks this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
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 Like if you were going to a taco truck and there was one truck that had 25 people lined up and one truck that had 0 people, why would I go to the 0 people truck?
Because your smarmy taco expert was telling you.
Had shamed you into worse tacos.
Yeah.
And these tacos are filled with pills and surgery? Sign me up.
Because the guy from Austin told you to go to that taco truck line.
There are real good tacos out here. I can confirm that.
You know what lifestyle choice I think we should make right now is that I think that we should get into our game. Oh no. That this is how good a job I've done running this game is
zombies.
People are like, oh no. Okay, here we go. It seems as though your friend Norman has been keeping something from the group. In a strange moment at the top of Gaunt Light, the ancient lighthouse, a short walk from town, Norman collapsed, having transformed into a gray humanoid fox. After a frustrating argument between the four of you, you've spent a week apart in the town of Otari. But that week was cut short when Gaunt Light shuddered and started blasting the town's graveyard with a bright blue light. You've seen a number of mindless undead wander out of the graveyard and over the cliff nearby, bludgeoning themselves apart on the roof of the Dawnflower Library. But there is still a horde of the undead in the graveyard itself. Among them, you've seen a familiar face. Your old comrade Haplo, risen as a zombie, shambling towards you, moaning and staring lifelessly forward as he goes.
I'm mad about it.
Yeah, how are you guys feeling in this moment? Like, what's the emotional state of the party in this moment?
Well, Robin is mad about it. That's how Robin is feeling. Trill is horrified.
Can I ask a question about the setting before I decide how Norman's feeling?
Sure.
Is the light still shining in the graveyard? Is it like...
So the light, that actually is a great question. The light is still shining in the graveyard. This would be dim light, but the blue light from Gauntlight continues blasting the graveyard. So this entire area is bright light.
So it's like the whole beam is covering this pretty massive, 200 by 200 foot graveyard.
Yes.
Okay.
It is a large beam of blue light.
Okay.
So how does that affect how Norman is feeling in this moment?
I mean, Norman ran over here because he saw the light come down, and he's very in his head about this light and what it may mean for him and where it's coming from and whether he can control it. And I think Haplo has basically just divided his attention into, like, he's trying to take in the light, and his head is whipping back and forth from Haplo to, like, looking up at the beam and down and around.
So something is competing with the light that Norman is obsessed with for Norman's attention.
Correct.
Mag is broadly horrified as well. I mean, that's probably the right summary. I think Mag has felt convinced with varying levels of proof that Gauntlight Keep was a threat to Otari, and has in many ways been trying everything she can think of to prevent this exact scenario from unfolding. So there's a horror at the zombies, there's a horror at Haplo specifically, and there's the kind of feeling that comes from a deep or a worst fear starting to unfold in front of you.
I think Vadim is probably the most clear-headed of the bunch. He doesn't have the complicated feelings about Haplo, but instead what he's feeling is like a pure rage, not barbarian rage.
Line up, buddy.
But Vadim doesn't even recognize Haplo, so the three of the rest of you are seeing Haplo and reacting, and Vadim may not even get that there's anything to react to.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. I think the anger he's feeling is more tied to his past, which for him has actually the effect of focusing him in. This is what he does. He kills undead, and nothing else matters to him quite as much as this.
Let's see if this horde of shambling undead is going to end our adventure prematurely. I would like for everybody to please roll for initiative. Yeah. Roll for initiative. Okay, how did you guys do? Vadim, what did you get on the initiative?
Vadim got an 18 on his initiative roll.
Okay, pretty quick. How about Trill?
Trill got a 16.
Okay, how about Mag?
16 for Mag as well.
And for Norman?
Feeling perhaps more companionship than he's shown to date, Norman also got a 16.
Oh.
Huh. 3 16s and an 18, all pretty quick, probably compared to most of these undead monsters coming your way. There are a couple things I want to tell you before we start in on this combat. This graveyard has many rows of gravestones, and each of those gravestones is going to make for difficult terrain. There are 4 terrified guards at the entrance to the graveyard on either side of you. The 4 of you are positioned at the entrance to this graveyard, and there are 4 scared guards reduced to sort of sputtering messes flanking you on the left and right. A short ways away to the east, there's a crowd of townspeople shouting and screaming out of fear, watching the 4 of you run forward into danger. There are a total of 8 undead. There are 5 skeletons and 3 zombies spread all around this enormous graveyard. That's a lot. I'm just going to tell you what my strategy is for this. I'm going to try to corner you and separate you and then overwhelm you with a large number of attacks. So if you can keep these guys from getting up to you, maybe you got a chance. But otherwise, if they get to you, it could be a bad situation. First up in the order at the top of round 1, there is a skeleton at the far end of the graveyard that just slowly starts walking towards you, clattering as it goes. It stumbles past one row of gravestones and then walks towards the central pathway that is leading down to where you are. And then this skeleton is going to use the remainder of its movement to run straight up in front of you so that it is only 15 feet away from Norman. It is now Vadim's turn. What do you do?
Vadim draws his longsword.
I'm sorry, his what sword? What sword are you drawing?
His Aldori dueling sword. Sorry,
beautiful Aldori dueling sword.
That shimmers eerily in the blue glowing light. And then he uses his second action to draw his dagger. And with his final action, he strides 25 feet to move into the flanking position behind the skeleton that has charged us.
So as Vadim runs deeper into the graveyard, exposing himself to more attacks from the oncoming undead, I'm going to give Vadim a hero point. Woo! For that. At this point, one of the skeletons in very, very far back in the distance, arising from a tomb, runs forward, clacking and its jaw flapping around in the wind as it does so, and it stops its movement, so it is now flanking Vadim. It's at this point that it is Norman's turn, and I'm going to say that because you were running to this location, you were not moving slowly, you do not get any surprise attack in this encounter.
I don't love that. Norman is going to step in 10 feet, so he is flanking the skeleton, and he is going to hurl some debris from one of these headstones using TKP at that skeleton.
Okay, what kind of damage are you doing with this telekinetic projectile?
I'm going to go with bludgeoning off of our last skeleton encounter. We can learn some more, but that's my best guess for now.
Good call.
Okay, so a chunk of gravestone flies off of a grave. Let's get that attack roll.
That's 12.
It flies up in the air, casting a shadow on top of all of you as it blocks the blue light from above. And then it lands harmlessly on the path a short distance away. That's it for Norman's turn. It is Mag's turn. You have just seen a chunk of grave fly off into nowhere. What do you do?
I just want to confirm that these guards are not currently involved in this encounter at all. They're armed, but they're just kind of standing here freaked out.
Correct. Maybe, if you'd like to, you could make a request or otherwise convince them to take up their arms.
I'm thinking about it. Mag is not necessarily the best position to do stuff like that. her best option for motivating people to do stuff is intimidating them, and I'm not sure like freaking these guys out further is necessarily gonna do
They're
it.
going to join the fight at frightened 24. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
All right. So, Trill, can you or here?
Yeah. I think it makes sense on Trill's turn. She can absolutely. This is definitely more Trill's game than Meg's game.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so
Emboldening these guys.
so first action, Mag would draw Haplo's bastard sword
Oh.
with a growl as she sees Haplo's zombie form. So Mag is then going to do a sudden charge, which she's been practicing all week, up the main path past where Norman and Vadim are engaging these two zombies. Is this permissible given the amount of difficult terrain involved?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So Mag rushes forward down the path and then carefully clambers over the gravestones to charge up towards this zombie and to launch an attack with the sword.
Yes. All right, a one-handed roll. A 17 to hit.
17 against this zombie is a hit as you slash at this creature risen from the grave.
Excellent. All right. Let's do some damage. Magda Runa, that is 8.
Oh, ow!
You get the impression as you cut into it that your sword goes into it super easily. This slashing damage is going to do extra damage to
Nice,
this
Mag.
creature. And it looks like you have cut a huge chunk of former townsperson meat off of this monster.
Way to bring us down, Lars.
How's it going? How's everybody feeling? It is now Trill's turn.
Quite an emotional roller coaster, really, that turn.
So Trill's going to start by trying to embolden these guards.
So I'm going to say something to you that might change what it is that you want to do.
Yes.
These guards are so concerned about what it is that's going on, and also this is how the mechanics in this game for requesting something work.
Okay.
You're going to have to talk to them one-on-one to convince each of them to join the fight.
Ugh.
On the other hand, let them die and not us.
Well, how about I try the one right in front of me at least and
Okay.
see how it works with one. See if it's worth it. So
Sounds
I'm
good.
going to try and moralize.
You're going to make a request,
Demoralize?
which is going to be a diplomacy check.
Okay.
Trill steps forward and says, "You need to make some lifestyle changes, sir."
No more pills for you.
So let's get that diplomacy roll.
Okay. She went ahead and rolled a 23.
Ooh.
This guard finally meets your eyes after shirking attention away from you, shuddering, and they look at you and they say, "Okay, yeah, no problem." And they sort of grab the club that they're holding and with fear sort of grip it and prepare to charge in to battle
Okay.
alongside the rest of you.
Buck
Go
up,
Trill.
Buster.
Amazing initiative roll from this
That
guard,
guard
by the way.
it was really emboldening.
So
This guard got a 23
Oh, wow.
on their initiative.
So she's bucked him up with her first action.
Which I'm actually going to say means that they go next because 23 has already passed in this round.
So for Trill's second action, she's actually going to take her free action and she's going to go lingering composition. Now that we've got one more
So
person
good.
fighting on our side,
Performance.
Oh, smart.
go do C. Oh, 27.
But 27 is a critical success, meaning that everybody, including this dumb guard that you've added to the combat,
Dumb
is
eager
going to
guard.
is going to have 4 rounds of whatever your next cantrip, your next composition cantrip
And
is.
my next composition cantrip for my second action will be Inspire Courage.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I thought it would be that one.
Makes sense.
Will be
Everyone
dancing
got-
lights.
Yeah.
And so you have burned 1 focus point for that.
Yes.
Okay. Trill has 1 more action on her turn.
Trill is going to just go ahead and raise her magical shield.
At this point, the guard that you have just inspired arms themselves with their club and screams, "Die, you undead monsters!" and clambers over the fence, landing on top of one of the gravestones, and swings the club with their final action, even though they are frightened too, swings the club at the skeleton between Vadim and Norman. Here comes the attack roll. It's pretty good. It's a 20 to attack, which is going to be enough to hit this skeleton guard.
Oh,
yes.
So I'm going to roll damage with our friend, the inspired rando, and that is enough damage to blow the skeleton apart as it just collapses on the ground.
I'm going to name him
In front
Mark
of you.
because he hit the mark perfectly.
All right.
I would like
Thanks,
to say
Mark.
that Mark that was an incredibly fast transition from Mark the previous turn saying no problem with regard to rushing into a graveyard full of zombies to
and destroying a skeleton guard.
just liquefying one of them.
Yeah, Mark!
You know, these guards are maybe not trained so much in terms of morale, but they do know their way around a club, I guess.
I think this is what I'm going to do. Just each round, I'm just going to like moralize one of them. That's what I'm calling it now. And just send them into battle.
No problem. No problem.
This is working great.
No problem.
Next up is another skeleton. It's a skeleton way in the northwestern corner of the graveyard. They are going to stumble haphazardly across a row of gravestones and then try to move down that center pathway towards the group. And they do not get particularly far because of all of the uncomfortable bone on gravestone action that it took them to get over towards the path. At this point, the last of these skeleton guards is going to go, and they are going to take they are actually going to go the long way around, taking the eastern pathway through the graveyard, landing right in front of Vadim and Mark the guard. As it just
You're
sort of
welcome.
clack, clack, clack. And now it's time for the zombies to go. Let's talk zombie for a
Let's.
second. The zombie in front of Mag swings its fist forward, chunks of flesh falling off of it as it does so, striking out at Mag with its fist for a 12 to hit.
That does not hit.
And then they're going to do it again with their other arm, just falling all over Mag, putting Mag in something of a bear hug, trying to hit her twice. That's a 17 to hit with its left hand.
That also does not hit.
So Mag steps back and this zombie tilts forward, then tilts back, regaining composure, and just goes, exactly, does. It is now the turn of another skeleton as this horde of undead just continues marching forward towards the party. This one is going to land right in front of Vadim and slash forward at Vadim with its bony claws, slicing at Vadim with a 16 to hit.
No good. Vadim nimbly dodges out of the way.
That's right.
As Vadim dodges, a zombie to the immediate east of Mark the guard starts crawling over the gravestones, its leg breaking one or more times as it struggles to get over these rocks. And it strikes out at Mark with its fist, trying to grab a hold of him frantically.
Where we find out what Mark's AC is.
That's a 10 to hit, Mark. That's not going to do it.
Yes.
As Mark
Fly
dodges
free,
out of the
Mark.
way.
Mark is no weakling.
And it is now the turn of the final zombie.
The one and only.
Man you once knew as Haplo advances upon Mag. Mag sees its lifeless eyes staring up in the air, and it instinctively, out of a sense of hunger, reaches out towards Mag with an attack.
Why?
You gotta draw.
Just always against Mag.
Nice.
Haplo
Always against
just
Mag.
critted Mag. I just want us all,
Nice.
there's the annoying recurrence of this, but also the specifics are pretty fucking salt in the wound.
You guys, it's fine. He's got like no hit points.
So this attack is called Off Balance. This is normal damage, and the target triggers reactions as if it had just used a move action. These zombies, it may not surprise you, do not have any kind of attack of opportunity. So that is 8 points of damage to Mag, and Mag is knocked flat-footed as she is knocked off balance by this crit from her dear friend, Haplo. It is now the top of round 2, and here's the situation. Vadim and Norman are at the entrance at the beginning of this path that leads deep into this large field of gravestones. There are swaths of skeletons right in front of Vadim. Between the two of them is your new guard friend, Mark. Deeper into the graveyard, with 2 zombies right on top of her, is Mag, facing off against your friend Haplo, or the body of your friend Haplo. And then standing just outside the graveyard is Trill, with 3 more frightened guards cowering in fear. It's at this moment that if you were to turn towards the east, you would see that the mayor of Otari, Osef Menhemez, has joined the crowd of people and is shouting in absolute abject terror, falling to his knees in front of the crowd, calling for help from the skies above. "Oh, Abadar, protect our humble village!" as the crowd continues to shout in fear. It is now Vadim's turn.
He shouts at Mag, "Mag, fall back! You're exposed!" Can I try that again, please? Sorry.
I thought it was great, but yeah, go for it.
Because he turned Scottish at the end?
I like it.
Where is he from, anyways?
Mag, you've got to get back. You simply can't stay out there, you bleeding fool.
You gotta stay there.
Not just Scottish, but
You're gonna
specifically
get
Willie
it.
from The Simpsons. Yes, The Simpsons, yeah.
It's eating into my brain.
So it seems as though Vadim has got the shinning, and then what happens?
He does. Mag, fall back. You're needed back here. And he's going to make a double slice at the skeleton by him and Mark with his Aldori dueling sword and dagger, just a quick flowing pair of slashes. So the strike with his Aldori dueling sword does 15.
15 is a miss as it clangs off of a hard part of bone on the skeleton.
He snarls and then with his dagger moves in to try and stab the skeleton. And it is a 20 on the die.
You gotta draw. Nice. It is nice. This piercing crit is send him reeling. The target flies back a little bit and is flat-footed until the end of its next turn. So it's double damage, plus they're made flat-footed.
I like it.
Yeah, it feels good when one of us gets a
I do like the
that crit
jingle
card.
much more than yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah, it
feel
feels nicer.
the same to me, but
But you see,
Okay.
from my perspective, the Jedi are the enemy.
so let's roll that double damage.
That is a 10.
And you get the impression that this piercing damage, very little of it goes through.
Yeah.
But still, this is a skeleton. You stab it so hard, it resists the damage. Your dagger screws against its sternum, and it finally blows apart in front of you and collapses on the ground, no longer an issue. Mark looks towards you and says, thank you.
No problem.
as the skeleton collapses, no longer in the fight.
Watch your back. And then Vadim is going to step forward so that he can be able to defend everyone who is in his immediate area. But this way, he's moving towards the zombie, which he knows his slashing weapons may be more effective against.
So Vadim, back against the gravestones, steps to the side, and it is now time for another of these skeletons to attack. This skeleton is going to rush forward, stepping onto the bones of the other skeleton that was just knocked down a few moments ago.
Dark.
And slashes at Norman, advancing at Norman. Norman sees the polished tips of its bony fingers flashing in front of his face. And here comes the attack roll. That is a 19 to hit Norman.
That hits.
Glimpse.
So Glimpse of Redemption comes out. So the amount of damage that was coming towards Norman is 3. Do you still want a Glimpse?
No.
No,
No.
dude. No, dude. Save it for Meg.
Okay.
This is level 2, Norman. He can take 3 points of damage.
All right.
So Norman takes 3 points of damage, and the skeleton mindlessly just continues attacking, slashing with the other hand. And this is going to be a 13 to hit.
That misses. Norman goes, "Oh, hey, bud."
And as that attack misses, it is now Norman's turn.
So Norman, always one to step up and volunteer himself, but always looking for someone else who can perhaps help with some of the actual labor of doing stuff, whips his head back to Jessica, who is the guard on the far right, who he recognizes actually from having cleaned her teeth in town. And he goes, "Jessica, hey, remember when I helped you out? Come help us out." And he tries to get her to come join Mark in the fight.
Sounds good. That sounds like you're making a request. Why don't you give me a diplomacy roll?
That is a 24.
Nice.
Oh, that's absolutely no problem. Jessica looks at you and says, like, "Wait, are you that dentist?"
Of course I'm that dentist. People need clean teeth and dead skeletons. Get out here.
And Jessica looks down, still scared, shaking in her boots for just a moment, decides to join the fight.
So Norman is feeling emboldened by his interpersonal success. He is going to step up to the east of that skeleton, and he is going to punch it. And he goes, "Don't swipe at me," and rolls a 13.
And that 13 is just barely a miss against this skeleton's flat-footed armor class. As Norman's fist passes right by the temple of this skeleton. It is now Mag's turn as more combat breaks out behind you. Haplo and another zombie are right in front of you, and Vadim has just called for you to fall back. What do you do?
She calls back to the rest of the party, but especially to, I guess she would say, to Trill. "Great work bringing in Jessica and Mark. Let's get Barnett and Amber in here too."
No, you didn't.
Oh, hi, Mark.
And okay, so with her first action, Mag is going to put a second hand on her bastard sword, so she'll be able to make two-handed attacks with it. Her second action, she will make a two-handed swing at the zombie directly in front of her, so not Haplo.
This is the zombie that you hit last turn.
Correct. And that is a 23 to hit.
And that is a critical hit against the zombie as you two-hand swing Haplo's bastard sword and cut a huge gouge in the zombie. Let's get a damage roll.
That is 18 slashing damage.
You basically cut this zombie in half straight through the torso, and it falls back, collapsing on the ground in front of you.
Go Mag.
As she cleaves this zombie in two with a two-handed weapon strike, she finds herself face to face with Haplo.
And you hear the moaning of this creature in front of you, just, as it looks at you, reaching towards you, desperate to eat you. You see none of the intelligence of your old friend. You just see hunger behind this creature's eyes.
And staring into those vacant eyes, Mag feels her heart start to race. A tear drops from one of her eyes as they go bloodshot, and Mag rages. The veins in her temples begin to pulse. Her hand begins to almost glow red in the eerie blue light of the beam from Gauntlight. And she screams in Haplo's face. You are not him! And that's her turn.
Love that. Love that. I got goosebumps.
Nice.
Same here.
Trill hears the sound of Mag screaming in the distance past this melee that's broken out. Skeletons clambering over each other to get towards you. What does Trill do?
Whew. Well, Trill's got to continue to rally the troops. We got 2 left. So Trill's going to call to Barnett and Amber and rally them. Come on, guys. Mark and Jessica are getting into the fray. We have to protect the town. You two can do it too. Come on. Get up there. And so she's going to make, I guess, 2 diplomacy checks.
So the first one is for Barnett to join the fracas.
And that is sadly only a 10.
This guard looks at you and says, No. Do you see them? They're the dead have risen.
Amber? And with Amber, she gets 22.
Amber slaps Barnett in the back of the head and says, God damn it, pick up your weapon, you moron. And even though she's afraid, she decides to join the fight.
Woo! Being that scared after we've slaughtered 3 of them is just a super wimpy way out for Barnett, I gotta say. They're falling pretty fast so far.
Yeah, he can get a little indecisive, that guy.
Can I take one more go at Barnett? Or only once per round?
This failure on requesting says that the target refuses the request, though they may propose an alternative that is less extreme. So Barnett turns to you and says, Can I just go home?
God damn it, Barnett.
Fine. Go run home to Mommy. Go have some more milk and have her put you into bed. And Trill, for her
okay,
final
let's get that
action.
diplomacy roll. Oh, okay.
And Trill, for her final action, runs up the stairs and comes next to Norman to try and help make this zombie flat-footed to Vadim.
At this point, it is Mark's turn. Mark is going to run terrified away from this zombie and is going to stand next to Trill so that Trill, Norman, and Mark are surrounding the skeleton. And Mark says, I can do this.
You can do it.
I can do this.
You can do it.
No problem.
And swings out with a club towards the skeleton. That is a 17 to attack that just barely hits. Here comes 1d6 plus 4 bludgeoning damage, maximum damage. Mark reaches back with the club and swings and knocks the skull of the skeleton
Mark, you did it!
back so that
Attaboy,
it
Mark.
lands. It lands right in front of Mag. So Mag, as she is screaming, locking eyes on Haplo, on the former Haplo, sees this skull land right in front of her.
The zombie formerly known as Haplo.
I mean, I will say this fella Mark, I believe has as many kills as level 1 mag. So,
I was gonna say,
boy.
Can I re-roll as Mark?
Yeah. Really.
Mark is a
Hey,
little
guys.
overpowered, I think.
Yeah. We need to nerf Mark.
Mark OP. LOL.
Mark, at this point, standing back by Trill and Norman with one more action, yells, just screams at the zombie next to Vadim and says, just go away, will you? And critically fails on his demoralized check. That's a 1 on the die.
Well, he's good at hitting, but not at talking.
Yeah, Mark coughs for a second and collapses on the ground, hacking for a brief moment.
It's okay, hon. You did it. You did great.
I feel like it was either going to be that or he was also going to just like cast an L9 Arcana spell.
Yes. Yeah. Mark casts Wish.
Jinx.
So at this point, the skeleton furthest to the north sees Mag and advances upon her, climbing over one of the gravestones. So Mag, as she is raging, looking at Haplo, feels a sudden impact on her back as a claw scratches out at her.
You gotta draw.
I mean, we can all agree this is ridiculous, right?
Yes.
You know how some people get bitten by mosquitoes way more than other people?
That was me today.
It's like Mag attracts crits.
It's weird. it's weird.
It's
I agree with
improbable, you might say. Improbable.
It's Pathfinder 2E. Does the 2E stand for Crit the Barbarian? Is
Yes.
that what the acronym?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what it stands for. Yes. So this crit is called Pain and Simple. It's triple damage.
Oof.
That is going to be 18 points of damage against Mag as her back is slashed into by this skeleton's claw.
Vadim, seeing that this is occurring to Mag, and reaches out with a Pharasma's power and feels nothing. She's outside the range of his glimpse, and he curses.
You've been spread out
Mag.
too far.
It's almost
Yeah,
like we were
Pharasma-
warned not to do this. Mag's gonna mag.
So here comes another attack roll against Mag. That's an 11 to hit Mag as it scratches again against Mag.
Wait, sorry. Did you say 11 or natural 20?
That one was only an 11.
Okay, all
I don't
right.
know. There's something weird with the dice roll.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
really
must be
explain
broken.
it.
We should, that sounds like a bug. We should post to the product forums. Yes, that does not hit Mags.
Okay, at this point, Jessica, the guard outside, standing on the path, draws her club, climbs over the fence, and lands on top of a gravestone, pushing it to the ground. Seeing the zombie next to Vadim, she swings her club out to strike at the zombie. It's a 21 to hit, which is...
Will that do it? Is that gonna
Great
hit?
job, Jessica.
That's going to hit. Here comes bludgeoning damage against the zombie. That is 1 point of... Sorry, that is 1 on the die. That is 5 points of bludgeoning damage to the zombie.
All right.
As you hear a squishing sound as this club smashes into the zombie next to Vadim. Amber, the other guard, sees Jessica running to combat, draws her club, and runs forward, screaming without any distinct meaning behind her screams. "Ah!" And pushes past Norman and Trill and stops in front of the skeleton just 10 feet away from Norman, breathing, terrified about what will happen next. It's at this point that skeleton reaches out its claws and slashes 3 times in quick succession against Amber.
Poor Amber.
First up against Amber, that is going to be a 22 to hit, which is a hit.
Glimpse.
For
Glimpse.
Amber?
You're gonna
Here
glimpse
comes-
Amber?
So here comes the damage roll. That's 4 points of damage. Do you want to glimpse it?
Yes.
So Amber feels the holy power of Pharasma pass over her as she takes 0 points of damage. The skeleton is going to continue slashing, though, although it is now enfeebled 2. That's going to be a 5 to hit. I think I have a -2 to my roll now, and then a 6 to hit, So the skeleton, scared by this vision of being a better skeleton that Vadim implanted into its head, just sort of collapses on top of Amber and starts weeping. It is now the zombie next to Vadim's turn. That zombie is going to lunge forward at Vadim and try to grab a hold of him and pummel him. That is a 12 to hit Vadim.
Vadim nimbly flicks the grab away with one of his blades.
At this point, that skeleton is going to try that again. That is a 10 to hit Vadim. And by skeleton, I mean zombie.
Vadim snorts and simply steps out of the way.
Undead.
So this zombie chases after Vadim, stumbles forward, and winds up with nothing. And then it was Haplo's turn. Mag, surrounded by Haplo and the skeleton that has just crept up on her, is badly injured. And here comes Haplo extending a fist towards Mag. And Mag feels for a moment, maybe there's something there still. And it's a 9 to hit.
9 does not hit.
And then she snaps out of immediately as the zombie continues stumbling over itself to try to grab a hold of Mag. And here comes another attack from the zombie. It's a 14 to hit. That hits.
14 does not hit.
Okay, that doesn't hit.
Good try, though.
Here we go. The mayor has started sort of trepidatiously walking forward from the crowd of people, gotten to his feet and is walking forward, squinting through the blue light, saying, Who is that taking care of this problem affecting my city? And here's the situation. There is a brawl happening at the entrance of the graveyard. There's a skeleton, there's a zombie, and then there are Vadim, Norman, Trill, and 3 guards suspiciously named after the 2004 film The Room. Here, is that what we're doing? Is that what they are?
No, they're from Amber, Barnett, Mark, and Jessica are from the 2020 reality TV show Love is Blind.
Is that what we're doing? Somebody said, "Oh, hi, Mark," and I lost it.
Well, yeah,
okay.
When Mark was joined by Jessica, it felt like we were very solidly in Love is Blind territory.
Okay.
They were both couples.
I thought that we were talking about real culture here, but it turns out we're talking about trash. And then deeper into the graveyard, there is Mag raging, both hands on Haplo's bastard sword, getting bitten and slashed at by these 2 undead creatures, one of which wears her old friend's face. It is now Vadim's turn.
He looks around and sees that the guards have formed sort of an effective cordon, preventing the undead from escaping, along with Trill and Norman. He looks to them and says, "Take care of these!" And he sprints to where Mag is being flanked by the skeleton, taking a flanking position upon it. And then with his blades, he whirls like a dervish, making a sort of swift tumbling move in the air. And he strikes with a double slice. So the first attack with his Aldori dueling sword comes slicing down.
It's a beautiful
24.
Oh, and
stunning.
that 24 against this skeleton's flat-footed armor class is a critical hit.
Ooh,
Sweet.
spicy!
And then the other attack comes through, a dagger coming up low and slashing upwards. And that is a 23 to hit.
And that 23 is just a regular hit.
Okay. The crit is 12, and the dagger strike is an 8
Ooh,
for
that's gonna
20
hurt.
All right.
total.
20 total. That'll take care of this situation. No problem. Dueling sword slices across, dagger lunging forward. It's basically like you've taken 2 chopsticks and are pulling a lobster in half. This skeleton is in 2 pieces on the ground.
And
the background music now needs to be that piano song, Chopsticks.
Yes. I'm very good at playing that song, by the way. I've been practicing that song for 20 years.
Only 20? Wow.
Yeah, I started when I was 19 years old.
And Vadim, before I finish his turn, he looks at Mag and snarls, "I said to fall back!"
And Mag whips her head around briefly and says in response,
I love that. I think Mag and Vadim's relationship is mostly going to be based on just like making horrible snarling noises to each other on the battlefield.
yeah, it's kind of like an angry badgers vibe.
But out
Yeah.
of love.
Yeah, yeah. It's collegial.
Exactly. Very.
So Norman, about 20 feet to his north, hears his friends shouting back and forth at each other and decides that now is the time to act.
With TKP, can I decide within reason what kind of damage I'm doing, or is it always bludge?
It's that's like the good thing about the spell is that you pick bludgeoning, slashing, or piercing when you cast it.
Okay.
Norman, if you go for the if Norman goes for the one to the north, it's gonna be easier for Trill. Trill can go to the
zombie to the south. There's also two guards down there, and I think Norman is feeling pulled towards being near Mag and Haplo. Like he wants to kind of make amends, and he wants to not be seen as shirking or whatever. So Norman is gonna go up.
That'll help us
to
wrap
the
this thing up.
North of hey, let's not jinx ourselves. To the north of the skeleton. I guess that's now Jessica, was north of Norman. The skeleton was north of him, and now Norman has gone. He's leapfrogged or run around.
This is very confusing. Skeleton was north of Norman. Jessica was north of the skeleton,
problem.
and now
That's
there's
right. He's now standing next to Vadim.
What do you ask them if one tells a lie?
Yes.
So he is now flanking this skeleton with Jessica.
No, with Amber.
It's actually with Amber.
Oh, with Amber.
See, that's the confusion.
I see. Right,
That's
Jessica
the
was down
only
below.
confusing thing about what's going on.
Barnett is the one we can keep track of because he's a coward.
Yes.
Anyways.
Barnett is going to help the mayor figure out who's doing the actual fighting.
Barnett's going to take all the credit, is what Barnett's going to do.
Oh, absolutely he is.
When he goes home to
real.
cry to his mommy.
Real.
So Barnett.
And Norman shouts at this skeleton like, "We don't have any use for these antics." And he flings some of the bones that are on the ground from one of the skeleton's friends. That is a 25.
That's a critical hit as Vadim pulls the skeleton apart. A ribcage goes flying to the east. Norman grabs it magically and throws it back at the skeleton right next to our friend Amber and critically bashes it with the bones. Go ahead and roll critical damage and add your sneak attack damage because of Magical Trickster, because you are flanking this creature.
So that is 13 doubled for 26 points of damage.
That's the biggest hit we have yet had in this game.
Wow, from old
Nice.
Normie.
From old Normie.
Norman.
Anyway, that was 26 points of damage, which is well more than the 4 hit points this creature has.
Okay, it was close,
And you
but we
bash
got
it
there.
apart. Yeah, you did get there. And as that happens, as another skeleton explodes, Mag finds herself once more face to face with her old friend.
Mag
You okay,
will
Mag?
delay. No. So she turns back to Haplo, now thoroughly certain that there is nothing of Haplo here. With a free action, she will first remove her magically repaired left hand from the bastard sword. With her first action, she will reach forward toward the remains of the old elf, and she will try to grapple him.
So that's an athletics check, or you can attempt to use assurance if you'd like to. Grapple is versus fortitude DC.
I know that it would be better to trip because these things are not as dexterous, but what she wants to do is grab him. If I use assurance, it'll be a 14.
Correct. meaning that their fortitude score either needs to be a +4 or lower in order for it to succeed.
So here's the thing. I lack so much context having not played this. I have no idea if 4 is good. These things seem relatively weak to me. It seems like I shouldn't take assurance here. 14 doesn't seem like it's going to cut it.
14 does feel low. However, a +4 fortitude would be pretty darn high is kind of my understanding, I believe.
Yeah. I also have a +8 modifier and a couple of hero points, so I could just roll the freaking dice.
But how well has that ever worked out for you?
He's got a
Gee,
point.
thanks, Lars.
I said give it a shot. You got 3 actions.
All right.
In Otari graveyard, haplo grapple you.
At some point, yeah. I'm not going to take the assurance. I'm going to roll the athletics check.
Okay. That's fine.
Disappointing to Lars, but fine.
That is so irritating. I rolled a 5, which would give a 13.
Ooh.
I think I should.
Oh.
Yeah,
Assurance demonstrates
assurance
its
would have
value.
been better.
Yeah. You know, David, if you had done assurance, that would have been a guaranteed 14. Did you know that? Have we talked about that?
Yes, we discussed it briefly, I believe.
Okay. Robin shaking her head at me.
Yeah.
I'm going to hero point it and roll again.
Isn't this game fun? We get to talk about numbers like 14 and 13 as though they are very, very different from each other.
Which,
Only one is prime.
I mean, wait, do I get to find out the result of the roll before I decide whether to hero point it?
You do. That's a failure.
Oh, okay.
You attempt to grab a hold of the zombie, and the zombie twists away from you.
All right, I'm going to use a hero point to re-roll because it is meaningful to me that this thing get grabbed. So that is a... Jesus. That's a 14.
A 14, the number that you would have gotten if you used assurance, that's a failure.
And if I try this again, I'm going to have a modify, like a minus whatever, because it's my second attack.
Not if you use assurance. If you use assurance, it's still a 14.
But that's not going to work.
Assurance is not subject to your multiple attack penalty.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's extremely cool. You can just run around tripping everybody on the battlefield if you want to.
That's
well,
awesome.
speaking of tripping, I will try tripping with my assurance of 14.
Oh, yeah, that totally works. You swing your leg around and the zombie
He's so
clonk.
smug right now. Everyone should understand how smug
knew
Lars
that.
is.
I just wanted to grab him.
I'm sorry, that's not a thing apparently that you can do in this game.
Yeah.
Sorry, tripping
You
only in this
specifically.
game.
Not with
Right.
not with rolling 5s and 6s. I can't.
So you swing, you grab your leg on the zombie's leg, and it falls back prone on the ground in front of you.
Oh wait, I have my wolf fang thing.
Yeah, do you want to spend that wolf fang?
Yes, I can think of no better thing to mess up or maybe even vanquish with that wolf fang than zombie haplo.
Oh.
May he rest.
So you successfully
Again.
tripped a foe. You get to activate the fang, and you will deal 4 bludgeoning damage to the target of your trip upon tripping it.
I do that.
That's going to be it for the wolf fang. The wolf fang is now used up
Yes.
as it explodes in the back of the zombie haplo, and zombie haplo goes oh as it takes 4 points of damage.
I feel like Armat should have done that sound.
Armat, would you like to do that sound? Oh. Okay, great.
There we go.
Thank you.
All right. So with her third action, even though it's now only a one-handed strike and it is subject to a penalty, Mag is going to try and strike out at the tripped and prone zombie haplo. And that is a 16 to hit.
A 16 against this flat-footed zombie haplo is a hit.
She brings the sword stabbing down into the heart of the prone zombie laid out on the ground, letting out a vicious roar. Max damage, 13.
Nice.
Does anyone think we need to get Mag some therapy?
She seems doing fine.
My therapy.
And David, because this creature is vulnerable to slashing damage, that is enough to kill zombie Haplo.
He's gone.
She rips the sword through and back toward herself, cleaving the body of her fallen friend nearly in two. As the blade passes through the body and she sees it go once again for the second time lifeless in front of her, Mag raises her face, stares directly into the light shining from Gauntlight Keep, and screams.
Whew.
So Norman and Vadim see this happen. Trill is a little ways away and maybe doesn't have as great a vantage point, but it is now her turn. There is one zombie left on the field.
Trill's gonna just do a classic TKP. TKP.
The telekinetic projectile.
Exactly. So she's gonna pull out her
The most hands off of the projectile.
Right. This is her. Actually, I think this is Trill's first attack this entire battle.
Yeah. I noticed that
Trill's
too.
just been emboldening people to battle.
Yes.
Nudging others forward, raising her shield.
So she's going to be using, I believe, slashing damage. That is the approved attack against zombies.
The damage du jour.
And she rolls a 22.
And that is a critical hit against this zombie. Go ahead and roll your slashing damage and then double it.
12.
12 means that this zombie is very nearly dead as a piece of metal flies across the graveyard, slashing a large chunk off of the zombie. And it's at this point that Mark looks back at Trill and says, "Today, we become heroes."
Mark, Jessica, Amber, finish it off. You guys can do it.
Cool story, Mark.
Mark See, that's what I thought. So Mark steps forward to flank the zombie with his friend Jessica. And here comes a club strike. That is a 21 against the zombie's flat-footed. That is a critical hit.
This guy.
Otari
And here
forever.
comes...
Mark, let's make friends with Mark.
Are we sure Mark can't rage?
Are we sure we don't want to rage with Mark?
Party!
And hits for 14 points of damage.
Oh!
As you look around the graveyard, you see that the undead are no longer roaming, but the light is still shining. You hear the crowd of people gathered outside on the path leading back to town, sort of murmuring like, ah. A number of them are creeping forward, squinting into the light to get a sight of who it is that you are. Mayor Osif Menhemez is the first to the wall as he looks at you and says, "Oh, you're those people that went to Gauntlet, aren't you?"
Trill is perfectly healthy, and Trill is kind of towards the front with the other guards. So she's also happy to take point, guys.
Yeah, face this, Trill.
And not covered in any zombie.
Yeah, especially
goo.
after the song at the memorial. That's the last time we were all here together. Yeah.
Gathered with Mark and Amber and Jessica, who are now, siblings in arms. We have fought together.
At this point, Barnett, the guard that refused to join you, walks forward and says, "I don't think it was really that interesting or compelling a performance." But the other three advance and close ranks behind Trill as she talks to Menhemez. Does anybody want to do any healing of wounds or laying on hands or anything like that?
Vadim will lay on hands on Mag.
Thank you.
Yeah. Though he's muttering to himself as he does so.
So that's going to get 6 hit points back to Mag.
Norman, all this is happening quickly as Mag is sort of screaming up at the light and the fight is winding down. Norman's head is whipped up and he's looking at the light. She's like, "That light, where is it coming from?" And then he sort of, he realizes that he's got a scrape on him. And so he fumbles around while staring up to try and treat his own wounds. That is a 14.
Okay, so that 14 is going to be a failure as Norman sadly, is unable to repair any wounds.
I feel better.
Does Mag want any more healing at this moment?
Yeah, Mag is going to treat. I think my own. I mean,
Vadim could try and treat wounds on you. He can put away his blades. He'll continue cursing and muttering rudely under his breath. Vadim rolls a 19 on the die for a 25.
Okay, so that is a critical success as Vadim gets all of Mag's wounds stitched up. That means that Mag gets 4d8 hit points back.
oh,
Wow.
And I'm going to say that also refocuses Vadim as he treats Mag's wounds because it connects him back to life and death for 10 minutes, which refocuses him. Trill continues talking with the mayor alongside the 3 guards that joined the combat. And the mayor says, well, if all that this thing does is...
Raise the dead? If all this thing does is raise the dead?
Well, I just can't have this kind of thing happening in my town.
Well, we are here to help you. This is all we've wanted to do this whole time, Mayor. You need to understand that.
And he shakes his head and says, I just don't know.
You just don't know if you want us to walk away and just let zombies and skeletons take over Otari?
And as Trill says that, Norman is looking up in the sky at the light. You hear a sound in the distance. And you look back up towards Gauntlet. You see that the beam of light is once again bursting forward from the top of the lighthouse, but this time it is focused directly on the 4 of you. And it is insanely bright. You are nearly blinded as the bright blue illumination covers you, and all you can see is the light.
Oh my God.
well, I guess Mag freezes, stares, is just recovering from this battle and this intense thing of light, and she's blinded, and she staggers back one step and then tries to just recover her footing and square her shoulders to whatever it is.
Norman, now slightly more aware of the light, is able to control himself from changing form, although something in him feels sort of called to do that. And instead, his powers sort of manifest and his gold cloak lights up in a bright yellow light.
Trill, as she first loses her thought process for a moment in the shock, looks back at the mayor and says, See? The old witch who's controlling the light even knows we're here to stop it, and she's trying to trick you.
You get the impression that your words are going right past the mayor, because you can see he just looks like bright blue in the light. His eyes are wide open and they're shining like blue lanterns. And he's just looking up past you going like, completely transfixed by the light. And then suddenly the 4 of you find your heads filled with a toxic smell, a chemical smell, like pungent oil. And you hear a loud, wet creaking sound, like the timbers of a ship shifting back and forth in bad weather.
Oh.
And you squint into the light, and it's just blinding. You can't see anything. But then the light stops. In the distance, Gauntlet has gone entirely dark. But you barely notice that because you see the source of the smell.
Oh. Hello.
Standing between the 4 of you is a hulking crab creature, shiny in the moonlight with a coating of some sort of foul-smelling liquid covering its body. Its 6 legs are all dotted with countless pin-sharp quills, and its 3-hinged mouth clacks with a hollow sound as it scuttles back and forth in front of you, its enormous plates of natural armor scraping against each other.
Oh, Lars, I'm mad at you.
Well, keep being mad at me, because before you have a chance to consider what you've seen, it is already attacking you. And we will pick up from there next time.
Now we've got to also save the mayor. God damn it.
Do we?
Maybe the mayor has a little accident, we run this town now.
of Ruin is a Tabletop Gold production produced under the Paizo Incorporated Community Use Policy. The Roots of Ruin uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Inc., used under Paizo's Community Use Policy. We are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. Paizo does not recognize, endorse, or sponsor this project in any way. Original characters and content are the property of Tabletop Gold. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, visit paizo.com. We at Tabletop Gold would love to hear from you. Email us at letters@tabletopgold.com and find all our social links at tabletopgold.com.